Hello and welcome to AdaPulse, the community-funded news channel, keeping you up to date with all the news and emerging projects that are in and around the Cardano ecosystem. And because we're community-funded, remember, there is no coin-sharing or paper motion. We're just here to break down some information and deliver to you in a way that's easy for you to understand. So, because today we are discussing World Mobile, probably a project that a lot of you have heard of, connecting with Cardano. Now, this is an article by one of our newer writers, Cardano 420. They're only onboarded thanks to, remember, the funding we get from Catalyst, so don't forget that. But I've actually covered World Mobile a couple of times in the past on my previous channel, so I'll include links and you can check those out if you will. There were some of the very early videos of when I first heard about it. So I do own some World Mobile. I do love this project, and I am a soon-to-be Earth node operator. So, and that's got nothing to do. I'm not here to pump my bags. I just love the project and I love sharing it. And Cardano 420 has done a nice, cute little summary on the whole project. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But anyway, do remember to click the like button, hit subscribe, and get that bloody bell button so you can get notified as soon as we've got content available. And so I'm Josh from ATM Staple, your presenter for AdaPulse for today. And let's just crack on with this, shall we? Now, to put everything in context, you could argue that the future lives on the internet. You could argue that now lives on the internet. It seems to be everything we do is around the internet in some way or another. But there's people around the world that want to connect, they want to learn, and they want to grow with us. And at the base level of that communication is the sort of internet and telecommunication services. And there's countries, that lack that. They can't afford that sort of infrastructure. And essentially, when an individual is excluded from this sort of shared digital dialogue, their voice is kind of taken away, essentially. But the problem is that only deprives that individual's voice, but actually, as a community, we lose their voice. And a community is made of many voices. So World Mobile, if you haven't seen any of my videos before on it or you don't know much about it, they're essentially on a mission to bring internet connectivity and telecom services to the unserved and unconnected communities around the world. You'll often hear the phrase, connecting the unconnected. That's almost like their mantra, if you will. And they're using Cardano or the tools of Cardano, I should say, to connect to the internet without having to rely on a centralized provider, which obviously can be, expensive, and in many parts of the world, it's pretty damn unreliable. Now, the World Mobile team have actually been pretty busy recently. So they ended February, but with attending the World Mobile Congress Summit, which they had in Barcelona in Spain. But they've also submitted to the World Mobile app to Google Play, which is pretty cool. So that will soon be available to people in Zanzibar, where people will be able to experience the connectivity thanks to the sort of local business people, who are collaborating with mobile to bring modern telecom services to really remote areas. Now we'll go through all the different parts that make up sort of the network of World Mobile, but one important part that we want to talk about right now is the Air node, which has an up-and-coming sort of firmware update that will serve as one of literally the final steps before it's truly goes live for users in Zanzibar. So it's a pretty exciting update. But there's also this active rollout work being done in Kenya, Mozambique, Nigeria, and the USA. The USA of all developing countries. But there's also some up-and-coming announcements in Asia as well. Now, the World Mobile project is the brainchild of fellow Londoner Micky Watkins, Cockney bastard, who's using his experience from the telecoms industry to inform the development and implementation of the new network. Energy efficient and sustainable. Now, the project's white paper, here it is. I'll put a link to it in the description below if you actually want to go through it yourself. But addresses, as they put it, the key issues in the current business models of existing network operators. But one of these issues is obviously energy consumption, which is obviously costly both economically and environmentally. And the solution is, as they put it, a lower power intensive architecture combined with solar battery solution to significantly reduce these costs. Now, the system is also designed to be self-sustaining and support the decentralized growth of the network and its services. So the team wants to keep the operation costs of the network as low as possible, and then obviously will be inclusive and more accessible as possible. Because remember, we're talking about people like in Zanzibar and stuff. So costs need to be super low. Network architecture. So there's actually three main cogs that make this whole thing work, really. And Cardano 420 has laid it out quite nicely. So let's take a look. So firstly, you have Earth nodes. Now, think of these as like the brain containing the core logic of the world mobile chain system. They are comprised of the following modules: the Internode API, Decentralized Identity Module, Blockchain Module, and Telecom Module. And then you have air nodes. So telephone coverage and internet access for users begins here. The air nodes not only provide coverage, but they also pass the user authentication information to the Earth node, which sends back the details on the user account balance along with a list of the services they have access to. The air node meters usage accordingly and sends a transaction back to the Earth node upon completion of the user session. And then you have ether nodes. So these are needed to interface with legacy telecommunications network. A minimum of one is required in each country to provide service. User experience. Now, World Mobile is designed to be accessible to everyone, regardless of their sort of socio-economic background. I mean, anyone can connect to the internet using a low-cost sort of mobile device. And the network will be maintained by a community of local entrepreneurs who will be incentivized to provide reliable connectivity to their local areas. So don't think of it like reinventing the wheel, but think of it like inventing the axle, because that is actually the real invention. The wheel is nothing without the axle. I hope that analogy works at least. But anyway, we shouldn't underestimate the massive impact that bringing modern telecom services to, unconnected communities could have. There are sort of millions of voices, or billions even of voices, waiting to be heard, and innovations waiting to be unleashed. If you think of all the sort of innovations that are happening, like in Silicon Valley or in the UK or in Europe, the Western world, just think what can come out of places like Africa. There are great minds there waiting to be unleashed, and we connect with them. Who knows what's going to happen? Incentives. So according to the white paper, the desired outcome of the World Mobile Incentive model is, as they put it, good quality service and increased coverage. Now, the World Mobile Token, or WMT, exists to incentivize, and as they put it, the token holders that want to support the operation of the network, as well as node operators. So transaction fees will be paid out to node operators who can share the fees with participants who have staked basically with that node. Now, if you want to know more about the staking mechanism, it's essentially just based off Cardano's Ouroboros protocol. So there's a million videos that you can go and look that up on. Now, the fees paid by users will be distributed to nodes. Inflation rewards will be earned by node operators and, World Mobile Token stakers. Nodes will get rewards by producing blocks and committing them essentially to the chain. A bit like, it's a lot like Cardano. But these blocks contain financial settlement data as well as metadata, or call records, maybe, if you want to put it like that. And additional services can be provided by node operators as well to users. So that can generate sort of increased, more token rewards for that particular node. Telecommunication. Who says our AdaPulse writers aren't creative? But Earth nodes. So Earth nodes will provide two types of services when it launches. So you've got communication as a service, which is essentially like your voice in your text messages. And then you've got network as a service, which obviously is more like your internet access. And by embracing the Cardano blockchain's ethos of pushing power to the edges, then applying it to one of the most consequential industries in the modern world, World Mobile is kind of breaking new ground and creating a truly innovative system for connecting the whole globe in a decentralized manner. And we all love that word, decentralized. Now, the World Mobile Project has received significant backing from the whole Cardano community. We love it. That's exactly what we're about. This is what we signed up for. And it's even got got support from Charles Hoskinson and IOHK. There's a video here where Charles talks about it and how he was even talking about it in 2014. But I'll include a link in the description below as well if you actually want to check that out. But the World Mobile Project is ambitious, and you've got to remember it's still a work in progress. Using blockchain technology to bring internet connectivity to regions around the world is, a massive undertaking, but it was what Cardano was built for. It's a secure and scalable platform for the world mobile ecosystem to use as their foundation. Now, the project has the potential to transform the lives of millions, if not billions of people around the world, but just by providing access to the vital services we take for granted, which are phone coverage and internet access, and the biggest thing of all, at an affordable price. Because remember, if it's not cheap enough, it's not going to work in a third world country. So that brings us to the end of the article for today. So do remember to click the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that damn bell button so you can get notified as soon as we've got content available. And share far and wide. We're an educational platform, want to reach as many people as possible. So do share, especially if you're a fan of World Mobile. Let's just get the word out there. Let's get people involved. So I'm Josh from ATM Stake Pool, your presenter for AdaPulse for today. I'll see you next time. Thank you.